Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. And there's a helicopter up ahead. OMG. So this is a not very good cup of tea. I had some Yorkshire Gold earlier, which is one of my favorites, and many people's favorites. And I thought, let me try to rebrew it. You know, drain it, rebrew it, and make a decaf, which maybe if I would have put more effort into it would have been good, but it's kind of mediocre. So let's hope this haul is not as mediocre. Oh, please, let's hope it's not. I mentioned recently that I did a whole haul of my visit to Book Off and some books that I also brought home from my office. And when I did that, I also mentioned that I had many books that I'd hauled that I haven't shown you guys. And then I realized, let's do it. So there may be one or two in this vast pile of books that I have shown you guys. I tried to not bring in books that I've mentioned already, but things happen. So if you get a little deja vu, whatever. So most of these are books I bought online during the past months. Also, there are some before everything closed down that I bought in Book Off. So that I just didn't, I don't think I showed it to you guys, so here we go. I'm going to start with one that arrived on Friday morning that I had ordered a few days earlier, not knowing I was going to go to Barnes & Noble. Actually, I didn't go to Barnes & Noble. I was going to pass by Barnes & Noble, so I could have had the opportunity to go. Oh well. I ordered it because I really wanted this book, and I kept putting it off, and I was like, now I'm going to get it, and I got a doorbell waking me up on Friday morning, and already, you know, I do sleep in a bit because I don't need to be fresh and ready to commute right away. So after I answered the door and got my package, knowing I was expecting this package, so not being completely freaked out, just bleary-eyed, and very glad that I sleep in clothes. What do you call it? So I immediately went to feed the cats and realized when I looked at the clock that I had fed them an hour earlier than normal. This guy was here early, and I don't know why, but life does not make sense right now, does it? So this is And Then There Were None and Other Classic Mysteries by Agatha Christie. I already have this kind of collection of Poirot, three books of Poirot mysteries. Read 2 out of 3 so far. This has And Then There Were None, Crooked House, and Endless Night, which I don't think are Poirot or Miss Marple. So, although I do think when I saw an adaptation recently of Miss Marple stories that she was included in some of these stories. Endless Night, I remember. I didn't really like that story very much, but okay. Endless Night had the actor who plays Prince Albert on the recent Victoria series. I don't know when they're going to make that series again. But anyway, so I am endlessly collecting Agatha Christie books. So I will be reading this at some point when I feel posh. And this is kind of one of those books that you feel like you have to look nice to read. It's ridiculous. But anyway. Okay, so here's a couple there's a few from Book Off. I might have more later, but this is, I actually mentioned this recently. This is the children's book by Az Byatt. So I mentioned Getting Possession, and now I'm nasal. So I don't really know much about this. I've heard that it's a little bit sad, but we'll see. Takes place between the Victorian era and World War One, seems like. Stories about children. Oh, it's going to be depressing. But the cover is very pretty. And it was $1. Moving on. There are more well-known fictionalized versions recently written about Alexander Hamilton and Eliza Schuyler Hamilton. One I think was called something like My Dearest Hamilton or something like that. But this one I found again for $1, and this is Alex and Eliza, A Love Story, Melissa de la Cruz. So this looks just kind of, you know, have some cute little pastries and eat this, read this, same thing. Speaking of pastries, this actually I got on online. This is The Traveling Tea Shop by Belinda Jones. This is someone who I think takes place, someone who moves to New York, but follows a personality, star of television's Tea Time with Pamela, which made me laugh because my sister is named Pamela. So if she did my channel, that'd probably be her name. Anyway, she follows her along to arrange kind of like a tour of different bakeries and stuff in New England. So seems like a easy thing to read one day and up my alley. I'll talk more about it when I read it. This, I feel like I've mentioned this to you guys. I know I've mentioned this writer because she wrote a book, I think, about Mozart's sister or something, which I keep planning to read. This is Just Jane, a novel of Jane Austen's life by Nancy Mosher. Could have read it in July, couldn't read everything, so this is coming up. I don't think I read this before. Speaking of which, this ended up, I got this online, and then it turned out to be part 3. So I don't know, maybe I should read the first 2. This is These Three Remain, a novel of Fitzwilliam Darcy, Gentleman, by Pamela Aden. Another Pamela. Another Pamela's today. So yeah. It's about Mr. Darcy after he is refused by Elizabeth Bennet the first time. Could be good. I don't know. If you guys have read, by the way, if you guys have read that series at all, and if it's standalone, please let me know, because I wouldn't mind starting it. Okay, so continuing on my quest to read books from the Harlem Renaissance time period, I have 2 from Dorothy West that has a sticker on it. I had to take one off, so it's still kind of sticky. Why do people put stickers in the worst places? So I have The Living is Easy and The Wedding. I want to read The Wedding next, I think. I think it takes place in Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, so it's a intimate glimpse into the African-American middle class. So, taking place in Martha's Vineyard, that just, I don't know. I've been in such a mood lately for going to New England. Did I mention that before? But right now I can't really travel at all, so I'm going to live through books and history. So I do want to read this one, as well as The Living is Easy, which I think also takes place in Boston. Well, it takes place in Boston, so I could like that. I want to read it before I really get into explaining it. Sometimes I just don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, and then there's also Plum Bun, a novel without a moral. I got it because I like the name of the title, Plum Bun. It's like the name, by Jessie Redmond Fawcett. Written in 1929, the height of the Harlem Renaissance, by one of the movement's most important and prolific authors. I have never read, so here we go. It's a story about Angela Murray, a young black girl who discovers she can pass for white. I'm discovering myself that happens a lot in these books. So she's trying to escape her life, and she learns lessons. So this could be good. I do kind of like the look of like the card catalog, or not the card, library book kind of thing. We'll see if that has anything to do with the story or not. I like, this one actually looks a lot like one of the teacups that I have. So, talk about pairing things up. Okay, and now I'm going to get into my, well, these are kind of classics, but my uniform classics, as I call them. So, here's some Penguin classics that I bought recently. This is also Harlem Renaissance, but this is a male writer. I think it's Jean, I could be wrong. Toomer Kane. So, this is just a bunch of stories told through a series of vignettes. Going into the lives of African Americans living in the rural South and urban North during a time when Jim Crow laws pervaded and racism reigned. So this could be very interesting. I did kind of have like a quick little thumb through, and yeah, it's like poems and stuff and prose. I think this could be a good read, and it's not even that big. And this is a book that I started many moons ago. For an online book club, and I just discontinued it, and then I saw it in Book Off. It was $5, so it's a little more than I normally like to pay for things, but at least it got a crooked sticker in the back. But anyway, this is Stendhal's The Red and the Black, which I don't know that much about, but someday I'm going to read it. And try not to sing Red and Black from Les Miserables. Yeah, I really don't know much about this. French Restoration Society, etc. But it could be good. It's classics. Trying to read lots of classics. This is somebody. I showed you guys this already. I read a letter from this, but I'm just going to show you anyway, because I tried to find this book in Book Off on one of my last visits before everything closed, and it was there like a couple days earlier and then it was gone. So sometimes it's like if you really want something, just pick it up. One of my favorite artists who wrote many lovely letters. I probably couldn't live with him. But this is the Letters of Vincent van Gogh. That's how we pronounce it here. And I think in France. So how many million Frenchmen can't be wrong? I love his letters, mostly to his brother Theo. I think he pronounced that slightly different, but Theo. Yeah. So I shall enjoy. I don't know if I'll read that cover to cover or just dip into it from time to time. I'm reading Anthony Trollope's Barsetshire novels this year with my sister. We're doing like a kind of informal buddy read of these books and loving it. And I am up to the third book, Dr. Thorne, almost finished. We'll talk about it probably during Friday Reads or something. And I realized I didn't have the next book in the series. So I ordered online. I got a kind of bent copy. But this is Family Parsonage. So this will probably come up in my reading soon. Next couple months. Maybe October. I do love October. This is, now we're in the Oxford World's Classics, which I have a bunch of them. I don't know if I've completed any of the Oxford World's Classics, so I am determined. This is Maria Edgeworth, The Absentee. Mary Hayes, Memoirs of Emma Courtney are both, I think they're both from Book Off, but I think they're both of Jane Austen's time period-ish, and I wish I could have maybe read one of these during Jane Austen July, but you can't read it all. Different people, but I think this one, this one goes into, during the French Revolution, the decade following the Anyway, it's supposed to be a little bit feminist, so that could be interesting. That was a time period where feminism was taking an early stride forward, very early. And The Absentee, I think, goes into a bit of Irish life, which should be interesting for this time period. This is pre-famine, So, yeah, when I still had some family in Ireland, I think. I don't think I have any now. I had very little back then, but a little bit. Everybody always claims to be a little bit Irish. Like a lot of people in America claim to be part Cherokee or something, but I do not claim because I don't see it. But I do know for sure that I'm, I think, 1/16 Irish. That's not a lot. But anyway, but that could be good. I don't know. And they're not that big. The only thing about the Maria Edgeworth was, okay, it was $1, so, but somebody did some underlining. I know that's kind of okay, but it kind of annoys me at the same time. Whatever. This I know almost nothing about. I feel like it's been referred to at some point in books I've read. I think it's medieval courtly love kind of situations, but The Romance of the Rose, it's a new translation by Frances Horgan. So, I'm not the expert. Any of you who read this, let me know if I should get started with it at any time. Speaking of medieval times, here is, we are going into nonfiction. And this is a book that I feel like I might have shown this to you, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just having deja vu. This is a king that I find so fascinating. I still don't know how I feel, whether he was guilty or not of the murders that he's often accused of. I am happy that in my lifetime they found his remains. Richard III, England's Most Controversial King by Chris Skidmore. Why did they do the top remainder dot? Why couldn't they just do it here? But okay, ignoring that. So I will probably read this at some point. I love to read about most of the kings of England, so there you go. This is Stamped from the Beginning, The Definitive History of Racist Ideas in America by Ibram X. Kendi, I think. And so that's exactly what it says it is. So, we learn about these kind of things a little bit in school, but not really a lot. So it is good to be educated on the subject. Here's another writer. Here am I claiming to be part Irish, can barely pronounce the names. Although I tried to learn a little bit. This book, this is the one where I got the, okay. This is one of quite a few that I got from Hamilton Books, which was, I recommended me the history shelf. So that is a new addiction of mine, Hamilton books. Another online source. But I've only ordered from them once, I think. So I have been doing pretty well. This is Mad, Bad, Dangerous to Know, The Fathers of Wilde, Yeats, and Joyce, by Com Toybin. Toybin, I think it was pronounced when I saw it online. So, all interesting writers, Wilde, Yeats, and Joyce. That's really hard to say 3 times fast. And their fathers. I don't know. I know a little bit about Wilde's mother, but not a lot about the fathers. So that could be really cool. This is one. I don't know. I have a couple books about the Addams Family. Not the one. Not that one. This is The Remarkable Education of John Quincy Adams by Phyllis Lee Levin. It seems to have gotten a bit dirty on the top and on the bottom. So why is it dirty on the top? I don't know. I've got to stop being this person who gets so freaked out about these things. I don't know that much about John Quincy Adams. I have yet to read the John Adams book, but I know a little bit more about him. I did read a book about the history of... Oh, they're doing the recycling outside in case you hear a lot of noise. The history of... the Smithsonian Museum, and he was somewhat involved in that, or at least president at the time. So I know a little bit about him, but really I could stand to learn a little more. And I could always read about my favorite subject, which is tea. So this is Modern Tea by Lisa Bolt Richardson. I love the naked hardback. I love it so much. Keep up the good work. Yeah, and I also love the pretty cover, so maybe this will inspire me to make better cups of tea than this sad dribble. Okay. But yeah, I haven't had too many recent books about tea in my life. So, you know. This is a writer that I read one of her fiction books many years ago, and then I got another one and I just got tired of her style. But hopefully this will be good. It's it's nonfiction. So, Margaret Drabble, A Writer's Britain, published by Thames and Hudson, which I love that name because 2 rivers that I very much like being near. London and New York, in case you don't know. Pretty cover, pretty tree in the back. Speaking of, I showed you some books by Dorothy West. So this is Literary Sisters, Dorothy West and Her Circle, a biography of the Harlem Renaissance. So that's good. A little more nonfiction about the Harlem Renaissance by Verner D. Mitchell and Cynthia Davis. I read somewhere in reviews that it's a little bit scholarly, which sometimes it's hard for me, but I think if I read the Dorothy West novels and maybe a few others, it may be easier to comprehend. We shall see. I put myself down sometimes, you know. Speaking of Addams Family, this was, okay, the last 2 are books that I got at, I don't know if I've shown you these, but I don't think I have, at Book Off. This is Abigail Adams, a biography by Janet Whitney. She looks very, I don't know, placid here, but kind of uptight, but you know, I heard she's interesting. So, okay, $1 Book Off, right? And look, a map of the eastern part of the colony of Massachusetts Bay. So we're staying a lot of Massachusetts this time. Oh, I'm not going to sing that song from the commercial. Okay. And this, last but not least, is about Florence Nightingale. Nightingales. The Extraordinary Upbringing and Curious Life of Miss Florence Nightingale by Gillian Gill. I don't think it's Gillian Jill or Gillian Gill. That is a confusing name, but okay. And it has advanced praise from Alison Weir, who I read quite a lot about, Nancy Milford, one of my very favorite biographies of one of my very favorite poems, Savage Beauty, Poets, Edna St. Vincent Millay, love that book, I have to reread that. Diane Jacobs, author of Her Own Woman, The Life of Mary Wollstonecraft. Is that the book that I bought recently? Hold up. It's not. I'm getting her confused with her daughter. It's late in the daytime. Oh well. But, more to read. Susan Hertog, author of Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and Anna Beer, author of My Just Desire Witch. Turning my back on you. Is... Ta-da! I read this a while back, so there you go. So if these people are praising this book, hopefully it shall be good. She also wrote a book about Agatha Christie and also about Mary Baker Eddy. She lives in a suburb of Boston. Wow. So, okay. I'm looking at this too long. But that's good because I want to read it. I could maybe stand to read it in September, possibly. I usually, before Victober and after Victober, I start reading about Victorian history because that just makes sense to get in the mood for Victober. So we'll see. I do kind of wish that Victober would include, well, maybe it does. Does it include nonfiction at all? I can't remember. It might. Anyway, but it wouldn't include modern histories, I don't think. But either way, I am interested in learning a little bit about Florence Nightingale. I like reading lives of people, even if they did meet a queen or something, who weren't necessarily royalty, Okay, so I think I've talked enough. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books. Any of these you think I should dive into first. Or any of these that were complete disasters to you. Who knows? Some of those $1 book offs, it's possible. If it's like this tea, then I don't want to read it. If you like talking about these kind of books, then please subscribe down below. And you can hit the bell and all that sort of thing, which I hardly ever do and should. So I should practice what I preach. So this has been Catherine, taking tea with Catherine. Have a lovely, better tea than I had, and book-filled day. Bye.